Next up, we got pound kiwi here. So recently, kind of bullish. So let's just take a look here. Delete this, clean charts, throw on this moving average. You can see price is still above this daily moving average. So let's still consider it bullish overall. It did come close here, but yeah, I do think that it might be transitioning over to the bear side, but it hasn't done it yet. It'll probably take to the end of the year, December here. So into January, I think it'll cross over. But looking at this, I think as far as it coming up, I think might be coming to an end. So your 50%, your 618 area here is huge. You know, so we'll see what price does when it hits that. I mean, Friday closed super bullish. It's been bullish kind of, you know, since mid-month here. Hit a double bottom here. So there's actually a strong area of liquidity at the bottom here, so it functioned as support. You can actually bring it up a little bit here. You can see these candles, and now these candles. So looking for price to come into this area and see what it does. So I do think that it might transition to the downside, so you might get a sell-off once it hits this area. So, but I just want to see, we got to start looking at ranges. So last week did 382 pips, usually does about 350 on the week. Holy, this moves a lot. I remember I used to trade pound kiwi a lot, and because it moves so much. And yeah, I forgot that it still does. So it's at about 600 pips on the month already. It moves about 760. That'll probably go up, so we're probably looking at about like 780 by the end of the month. So it does have some room to still go upwards. Let's just see if the bottom of the month, so if the month moves, we'll call it 800, which is a lot, but let's say this is the bottom of the month. You know, for 800 pips, you're looking at about the top of this area. So that is where I see it going for the month. So I do think next week is going to continue to be bullish. I think it's going to hit this zone and towards the top of it before it really decides what it wants to do. There's actually an area of liquidity right here that you can see price before it, you know, we can actually shrink this up a little bit. You can see price touched here, finally held, broke above it, and then broke below it, retested, and came down. So, and actually, you know, price loves whole numbers, and I can see one here. So right at 210. Let's see where this lines up. You can see 210 is probably right where this is going to go. That's within the monthly range. It's actually probably bang on at the monthly range. I don't know if it'll quite hit 800 this month. Probably, you know, 780, be more realistic. So that would put us right at this area. Right at this 210 is kind of where we are shooting for. So for next week, or this upcoming week, I guess, get rid of this moving average here, and we'll actually just clean up these areas because we don't really need them. So looking at this, I'd be looking for price to retest some sort of support. So probably right here. Want, you know, at least a little bit. Not saying we're gonna get it necessarily, but you know, it'd be nice if price pulled back, right? Then we can buy it on sale a little bit, and then we know that it's also gonna respect this area, which it, you know, respected here, here, and here. So if it does it again, that's perfect, you know. And then we're looking for, you know, some upside movement. There is a chance that price actually creates a higher liquidity area. You can see it kind of already did right here. So this might not make it into this zone. Might only make it here, which on this little 1 hour segment, actually, I believe, oops, if we throw our fib on here, you can see that that would be our 50% zone right here. So 50%, 618 is what I actually had marked out. Oops. Oh, okay, guess it doesn't want to. Here, I'll put it back here for a sec here, because these 50% 618 zones are crucial. I use them all the time. I mean, every trade I take, I base it on these, because where price is most likely to go. And so either this area, you know, let price come into it and then look for a bullish engulfing candle once it hits. That would be kind of my take. And then we know the weekly range is about 350 pips, so I believe we have tons of range here. So something like this, yeah, I mean, you're still looking at like a ton of upside potential. So I mean, even 200 pips, I don't think we'll do the full 350 upwards, but it might hit 200 and then it might sell off. So something like this, I would keep my, let's just extend this here. So we're looking at Sunday, well, technically Friday, Friday at 11, but this will go a little bit further, right to there. So move this out. So yeah, this is basically what we're looking for, guys. You know, price come into this area, get bought up, head back up to, you know, right up to 210, maybe 210.5. Just because we do have some monthly range, and just because this little zone is more significant, I do think it will come into this area a little bit, and then maybe sell off to end the day below 210. Might close above 210, probably not going above 211 though. So unless it completely annihilates the zone and closes above it, then you know, might be continuing upwards, which would just be resuming the overall trend, which is bullish. But I just have a feeling. I have a feeling that it's you know, it's gonna hit this area and not be able to break it, and then sell off again. And then, I mean, it already created a nice low swing. You can see, like, if this, technically, if it really wanted to be bullish long term, it wouldn't have broken this low, right? It took out all of these. So basically the only thing saving it was this little area here. And so we're just gonna, I really do think this is just completing a retracement of this bear structure, and I do think it's gonna head downwards. But so, you know, looking at the upcoming week, I think this is the move it's gonna make. I think you know, finding, basically, if we're looking at a trade setup, probably in at you know, 208.30, 208.20, yeah, probably about 208.30, and then out at you know, 210.30 kind of thing would probably be perfect. So looking at about 200 pips to the upside. Keep your stop below this liquidity area, you know, maybe quite a bit, right? You don't need to get a massive risk to reward. I mean, I'd rather increase my probability. So just, you know, in case price comes into this area, comes a little bit deeper, and it's looking for a liquidity grab at the bottom here, you want to make sure your stop is quite a bit below it. And then after price starts to come back up, then you can cinch your stop up and kind of trail it a little bit. That's what I normally do. It just protects you in case there's liquidity grab, right? You don't want to be stopped out for no reason. And then it's better to have a stop like this. And then if, you know, let's say price comes in, the liquidity grab starts moving up, starts creating higher highs, higher lows on the lower time frames, then you can switch your stop and start dragging it up. And then, you know, just kind of like, let's say the wicks are all right here, then you just keep your stop slightly below those wicks as price is moving up, and then you're good to go. And yeah, I'd be targeting that 210 and some change right in the middle of this zone here for next week. It's well within the weekly range. The weekly range is 350 pips, and we're only looking at 200, so very, very reasonable. I mean, the daily range is 140, 150 pips, so it would almost do it in 2 days. It would probably do it in 2 days. So if anything, we might actually get the first half of the week might be bullish into this area, and then the second half might be a massive sell-off to really complete 350 pips to the downside, which, you know, from 210 would be down to like 206.5 would be all the way down here, which would be your 350 pips for the week. So it would complete the monthly range of your about 800 pips. It would complete that next week, and then, you know, all of a sudden transition over to the downside and start completing that full weekly range, which would be 350 pips. And given 210 as the high for the week, it would be roughly 206.5 to end next week. So if it does that, but I'm only focused on the bull extension here up to this area. You know, so it's got to complete that first. So that is my take on pound kiwi. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.